Welcome back, everybody. This is Jason Cole from the Patriots Drive podcast. We already did our top 3 realistic defensive targets at pick 21 for New England. Moving on to the offensive side of the ball for the Patriots. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment what you guys thought about the last video. Who are your 3 realistic offensive targets for this video? But let's get right into it. Cole, who's your first target for the Patriots at 21 on the offensive side of the ball?
Yeah, starting out with our third guy, Jameson Williams, wide receiver from Alabama. I know this is a guy a lot of people are going to like, and there's many reasons for people to like this guy. He's certainly talented. 6'2", 189 pounds. He tore his ACL in the national championship game. If he didn't tear his ACL, I still think they would have won that game. He's a big factor in their offense. Really talented guy. He's got a lot of speed. He's a big vertical threat down the field. He had an amazing year at Alabama. He's a talented guy. If he didn't get hurt, if he didn't tear his ACL, he probably would have gone top 10 in this draft. That's the talent he has. He's a really impressive player. Personally, the reason he's number 3 on this list for me is just the scheme fit with the Patriots. This isn't a guy. I mean, the Patriots can use all the talent at wide receiver they can get, but you'll see as we go through this list, the guy we have at number 1 is a little bit of a better fit for this offense. And I think Jameson Williams would add talent, add speed, add a vertical aspect to this offense. But that's already something we have a little bit in Nelson Aguilar. And his role it's not a huge role that the Patriots have had on this team. Brandon Cooks was one year that we had a guy like that. But outside of him, a lot of the guys that have success in this offense are slot guys that are good route runners. A lot of the guys that are just physically talented or just straight vertical guys don't fit as well in this offense. And we saw when he had to fill the role of John Mechie, he didn't really do that as well. The more route running type of wide receiver, that's not really his style. I'm sure he could learn to improve his routes, but as we've seen, the Patriots haven't developed receivers incredibly well in recent years, and that's not something I'd love to see, especially with the ACL. He's going to be behind in his development already into the offense. It's a hard offense to learn for people coming in as rookies, for people to learn in general. Kendrick Bourne even said he struggled with it, and he's had experience under his belt. It takes time. Nelson Aguilar said the same thing. It takes time to learn this system and to be comfortable. So this is a guy that probably wouldn't have any production for us until year 2. And that's just going to be delaying his start. And I just don't love it. But I still think, I mean, if we pick him at 21, I'll still be happy. He's a very talented receiver. The injury is tough. You never like to see that for a guy, but if he didn't have that injury, there's no chance he'd be available for us at 21. So certainly an intriguing prospect, one the Patriots should look at.
Yeah, and the deep speed that he has is the best in the class, no doubt about it. No one's questioning that. You're not going to get to see him run at his 40. You're not going to get to see him do any of the combine drills or pro day drills because of his ACL. And that's probably, like you said, why he's going to fall. But he averaged 20 yards per catch this year. Just astronomical numbers. And a lot of people want to say, "Oh, well, get the Alabama receiver with Mac Jones." For those of you that don't know, Jameson Williams played behind Olave and Garrett Wilson last year. He transferred to Alabama this year. Never played with Mac Jones. Never practiced with Mac Jones. The connection in the Alabama receiver rooms with John Mechie or Slade Bolden, if you want to get technical, but he doesn't
Jerry
have a
Jeudy
connection.
has more reps with Mac Jones than
He does. He does.
Jameson Williams, which is odd, but
he doesn't have that connection like people think just because they went to Alabama. He was a transfer in there. But pretty much just echoing what Cole says. I mean, the dude's probably a generational talent with his speed. He needs to add a little bit more muscle mass to be durable in the league, and we'll see how he is coming off of his ACL injury. That can make or break a career. But he has the deep speed that can be exciting in this league, and a lot of offenses want. But we don't see New England use that very much, and that's what concerns me. If we didn't use Nelson Aguilar too much this year, I think that Jameson Williams is very similar to Nelson Aguilar. He can be better than him. His ceiling's higher, but I don't know if he's going to come in and make an impact on this offense year 1 any more than what Nelson Aguilar did, just because that's not how we see New England using their receivers. We like to get them open over the middle of the field, be able to run option routes and get underneath coverage.
And one quick thing before you continue to our second guy, Nelson Aguilar averaged, I think, 19 yards per catch with the Raiders, and then that dropped off completely. He just wasn't used well in this system. So, like you said, Jameson Williams averaged 20 yards a catch at Bama. I know it's different. It's college. It's probably easier to average that much, but I'm just saying that vertical wide receiver, a guy like that, isn't something that necessarily usually gets a lot of attention for the Patriots in this offense as far as targets and touches. And there's some other guys in this class that I think would fit this scheme a lot better. I still wouldn't be mad if we got Jameson Williams. He's a super talented guy, but I think there's other better options at 21 or even second round maybe that fit better, yeah, for the Patriots.
For sure. And that's going to take us into our second guy, a position that a lot of Patriots fans probably don't want to hear being talked about, but that's going to be offensive tackle protecting Mac Jones, whether Trent Brown comes back or Isaiah Wynn gets traded. There's question marks in the future there, that's for sure, as of right now. So we're going with tackle Trevor Penning out of Northern Iowa, massive 6'7", 300 pounds at the Pro Bowl or Senior Bowl. He was incredible. The knock on him is going to be the level of competition coming from the FCS level. This is what PFF has to say on their scouting report. Looks like someone's dad subbed into a Pop Warner game. That's how massive and that's how dominant he was at the FCS level. And that's kind of what you want to see when you're an FCS player. You got to see them dominating that competition. He had a 99.9 run grade on PFF. Just absolutely incredible in the run. He plays with the chip on his shoulder. He hates getting beat. You saw at the Senior Bowl. He was throwing guys around. He's always, doing a little extracurricular activity, not to the point where he'd get a flag, although you never know with the taunting penalties nowadays, but he has that chip on his shoulder that a small school guy needs to have. I think that he boosted his draft stock tremendously, and he would be a great option to develop with Mac Jones on the interior or exterior of the offensive line if we are to move on from Isaiah Wynn or Trent Brown, which is likely one of them is moving on, and we need to find a replacement for him.
Yeah, I think this would be a great option for either of those guys, replacing either of those guys. Like you said, 99.9 run block grade per PFF fits perfect in this system. Also an 87 pass grade. That's great too. And what was good to see, like you mentioned, was his attitude, his style of play. That's what you want to see from an offensive lineman. He didn't look good the first 2 days of the Senior Bowl. That third day, he was like, I'm done getting pushed around, and he started bullying at people, and he let him hear it. And that's kind of the attitude you like to see from an offensive lineman, one of those interior guys, those big guys. He's a monster. I mean, he's kind of a freak the way he can bully other ginormous human beings. It's fun to watch. So that was good to see him at the Senior Bowl. Good to see some of his mentality, his attitude a little bit. Obviously, you don't want to see it get too excessive and get any flags thrown. We had a couple flags thrown on the Patriots O-line this year. Unnecessary, yes, but whatever, it is what it is. They got thrown. So that's one thing, I guess, to note maybe. But he was tremendous. Like you said, competition is one thing that people are going to look at. But overall, he was a menace. And when he played a little bit better competition, maybe you could say at the Senior Bowl, he dominated there too. So certainly was interesting to watch him and a fun guy. Maybe not the best thing that Patriots fans would like to see. Maybe we trade back a little bit in the first round, but I still think he's going to go somewhere in that range of pick 21, maybe 25, somewhere in there. He's a talented guy, and somebody's going to take a shot on somebody with that much talent.
But yeah, he's not the top tier of tackles, the
yeah.
Ike Ikwamu, the Evan Neal, Charles Cross type of guys, but he's that next tier. And there's going to be a team in the late 20s that either want to trade up and get him or are going to take a chance on him in one of those picks. And New England could certainly be one of them.
If you have not watched this final guy, I think this is both our number one option. I don't know how you feel about compared to the defense side of the ball, but if this guy is available at pick 21, I absolutely want the Patriots to pick this guy. And if you guys haven't watched his tape already, Chris Olave, wide receiver for Ohio State, go watch it right now. This guy would fit perfectly in the Patriots system. He's a great route runner. He's one of the best route runners, maybe the best route runner in college football. The guy he's tremendous. He's really fun to watch. Good separator, good route runner, solid speed. He's expected to be even a little bit faster than his teammate Garrett Wilson. The guy is just perfect. That's what you want to see as a Patriot wide receiver. You want to see them be able to create separation. One thing we haven't seen from a previous first round pick that the Patriots did not hit a home run on. We swung and miss on that one, but 6'1", 188, great route runner. That's what you want to see. Good separator. That's what you want to see. And he's got all the tools, and I think he would fit into this offense perfectly. Just scheme wise, that's a guy we need, and I think he would immediately become the second best wide receiver on this team at a minimum, maybe even the most talented receiver that we have on this team. And I think that certainly fill a hole. This team needs a wide receiver. This team needs talent, and Chris Olave is great. I think he would fit that perfectly.
Yeah, and he's probably the safest pick in the first round, in my opinion, out of the receivers. You're going to get Drake London. You're going to get Garrett Wilson, Jameson Williams, who are guys that are probably have a higher ceiling than him, but coming out of the draft, you know what you're getting out of Chris Olave. Great route runner, intermediate, deep threat too. The thing that he needs to improve on is running after the catch. He's not very good at making guys miss, but honestly, New England, with how well he can separate and the way New England uses the middle of the field for their targets, I think that he's perfect. Like Cole said, 100% scheme fit. He had five of his 7 games in 2019 as a junior. He had over 100 yards. He had 8 straight touchdowns this year in games. Maybe probably got undershadowed by Garrett Wilson a little bit, and honestly could have went in the draft last year and probably been a first round guy too. Stays in, whether it helped his stock or not, he's still going to be a first round guy. And like I said, people are always so fascinated by the high ceiling guys. Well, this is a safe guy. You guys, I promise you, he's not going to bust like N'Keal Harry. And if he does, you guys can come into my comment section and you can say that I was wrong. But that's how confident I am that he's going to come in. He's going to be a surefire, probably not a number 1 guy right off the bat, but he's going to come in and make an impact day 1 in New England system. Be a great guy to incorporate with Mac Jones and kind of grow up on the same timeline together.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great safety valve for Mac. Like you said, can create separation and can win intermediate, deep, anywhere on the field. This guy can win. He's talented for sure. Like you said, one thing, yards after the catch, that's something he can maybe improve on a little bit. And that's something that if you look at the top receivers in the league, they're all great after the catch. That's just one of the things about top receivers. That's what makes them elite, is what they can do once they get the ball in their hands. So that's one thing that maybe you want to keep an eye on. But the Patriots recently haven't really been that great with guys like that. Jonnu Smith, one of the best, probably the best tight end in the game after the catch, or one of them. I mean, obviously George Kittle, stuff like that. But Jonnu was certainly up there before the Patriots signed him. And we just couldn't find enough ways to get the ball in his hands because he's not a good enough route runner, not a good enough separator, and can't do some of the things that they want him to do, the little things like Hunter Henry does. Hunter Henry is not a great necessarily yards after the catch separator kind of guy, but he runs crisp routes. Hunter Henry runs some of the best routes for tight ends. He just does it the right way. And that's something that Patriots want to see. Like guys like Jacoby Myers, Julian Edelman, they run routes the right way, and they trust that the system and the scheme and you running these correctly is going to get you open and get the ball into your hands. And then after the catch, maybe you're not as talented as some of these other guys, Deebo Samuel after the catch or somebody like that. But some of those guys maybe in this system can't even get the ball in their hands because they're not getting open by running the correct route or running crisp routes. And this is a guy that I think would fit the scheme, fill that need perfectly. Just the what he can do, I think, lines up perfectly with what the Patriots want their wide receivers to be able to do.
Yeah, for sure. Well, guys, those are 3 of our top prospects for the Patriots at 21 on the offensive side of the ball. Let us know in the comments again. Like, subscribe, follow both of our Instagrams for more offseason content. We're going to keep these coming throughout the offseason and planning on a live draft show on draft night. So make sure you guys don't miss that and turn on post notifications, and we'll talk to you next time.